In this activity, we're going to create a function that goes through an array and finds the maximum value in the array and returns that. So we want to make this a template function so we can use it with a variety of types. So we'll use the keyword template, and then we'll put type name, and we'll use capital T. Now you can use class here, it works exactly the same. We're going to always use type name, but if you see class there, you'll know that that works the same. So what this function is going to return is one of the elements of the array, and that's going to be of type T, whatever kind they send. And we're going to call this MaxInArray, will be the name of the function. And we're going to need to send it an array. And we're not going to make any changes to the array, so we can call it a const array, and it's going to be of type T, and then how big is it? We're going to need to specify the size that we can use over, and so we'll use this const int k max size, and for now we'll set it equal to 20. So then the second value here can be k max size, and give the array a name. I'm going to call it item array. And then we need another parameter that tells us how big the array is. We actually know how big the array is, the max size it is, but it might not be all the way full, or there might be elements that are not valid. So we're going to let whoever's calling this function send us the size they want to use, how much we want to go through this array. And we've got squigglies here under the array, so let's go ahead and pound include the array header file. Well, it's not quite fixed yet. It's because we aren't using namespace standard. We have to put standard in front of it. Okay, now what do we want this function to do? Well, we need to find the max, and a way to do that is to first initialize max to one value in the array. Now we don't care which value because we're going to look all the way through it and see if it gets better, but we need to start max somewhere. And we want to start with an actual value in the array. We don't want to make up a number like -1 or 0 because the array might not be that type, and so it might not work for it. And it might be a negative number, like the largest one in the array, they might be all negative numbers. So we want to make sure and use an actual value in the array. So we know that this is going to be of type T, and we'll just call it maximum or max item. And we can set it equal to, give it an initial value of something in the array. Now when we go to the item array, we always know 0 is a valid one, right? That's the very first one. So if it has one value in it, it's going to for sure have one there. So that's really the easiest, most consistent one to use. It's just the first element in the array. And then once we've initialized it, then we want to loop through the entire array. Well, for however much they gave us. So for int I equals 0, I less than, and here we'll use size rather than k max size because that's what they're telling us are the valid values. And as we look at each item in this array, we're going to loop through each item. We're going to say if this item, oh, and look, we don't have to start at 0, we can actually start at 1 because we already have 0 in max item. So now we can say if this item, right? And how do we say this item? Item array I, that's the item we're looking at. If this item is greater than our max item, the one that we have currently in max, if it's larger, then we've found a new max. And so we want to update it. We want to say, well, then max item is equal to this one because this one's bigger. And that's how we keep finding one if it's bigger and bigger. And then we'll loop through and look at the next item. We'll say, is this one bigger than our current max? If it is, we're going to change it. What if it's not bigger? Well, if it's not bigger, we don't need to do anything. We can just keep going because we haven't found a new max. So if we loop through here every item and we look, is this bigger than the one we've got so far? By the time we get all the way through the array, we will have the largest item stored in this value. And so we can simply, when we're all done with the loop, we can return that value. And that's how we write a template function to find the maximum value in an array.